Hello, friends. Why am I dark? Okay, there we go. Hello, first grade. Mrs. Taima here. Welcome to part one of your reading lesson today. Today, with Miss Spears, you are going to use a graphic organizer to help you figure out what is happening in the story, the short story, The Guest. In part one, you will talk about the characters, the setting, the problem, and the problem. Then in part two, you will talk about responses to the problem and the resolution. As you discuss the different parts of the story, you will be filling out your own story map graphic organizer. You will need this at the end of part two, and you'll find out why. All right, friends, it is time to learn with Miss Spears, and I will see you back for part two.
Welcome back to Wit and Wisdom in Sync. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm excited to jump into our lesson for today. But before we do, let's make sure you have your materials ready. For this lesson, you will need your copy of Owl at Home if you have one. You'll need handout 18A, the guest story map. You'll need your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal and a pencil. Pause the video now if you need to gather your materials. In previous work, you used the text Owl at Home to make observations about what you notice and wonder, specifically looking at the short story, The Guest. Today, you'll begin organizing the text by identifying story elements to identify what is happening in the text. And the content framing question that will guide our learning for today is, what is happening in this text? Remember, this question will help you think about how the story is organized. Now, what graphic organizer can we use to help us organize the story? I'll say it one more time. What graphic organizer can we use to help us organize the story? Think. Now share with your learning partner or just share aloud. If you said we could use a story map, you would be right, because we can use a story map to help figure out what is happening in the short story, The Guest. Okay, so let's get ready to identify the story elements in the short story, The Guest. What I'd like you to do is get out handout 18A, the guest story map, and it looks like what you see on your screen. If you don't have the handout, that's okay. You can write and draw about each story element in your journals instead. Now that you have the handout or your journal ready, we will work together to complete the map, one row at a time. Okay, now think. What are the first two elements we need to identify for our story map? That's right. We need to identify the character and the setting. And you may have used the icons in the top left-hand corner of the slide to help you. Now what I'd like you to do is listen for evidence that can help you determine the main character and the setting as I read pages 4 and 5. If you have your book, you can follow along. The Guest. Owl was at home. How good it feels to be sitting by this fire, said Owl. It is so cold and snowy outside. Owl was eating buttered toast and hot pea soup for supper. Take a moment and think about the evidence that can be used to help you determine the main character and the setting. At the end of this lesson, you will be using the story map that you're creating now to retell the story. So it's really important that the map you create is very clear and complete. What I'd like you to do now is pause the video to write or draw the main character and the setting. Now it's time to think about evidence. What evidence did you find? Who do you think the main character is? Did you say the owl? I'm sure you did. The owl is the main character because he is who the story is mostly about. Now, Winter might also be considered a character because Owl treats him like a person, or Winter could be considered part of the setting because winter is when the story takes place. I'm going to add winter to the setting on this map, but it's okay if your map looks a little different. Since the setting also includes where the story takes place, I will add Owl's house to the setting as well. Remember, you will need your character and setting recorded on your story map. So I would like for you to pause the video now if you need to add or make changes to your map. Okay, what other elements do we need to record on our story maps? Think. Now share with a learning partner or share aloud. You probably said it. We need to add the problem, the response to the problem, and the resolution. And there are some icons that we can use to help remind us of those story elements. Let's review those now. For a problem, you will see that the arm is bent touching the head. For the response to the problem, you will see that the arms are out. And for the resolution, you will see that the arm is raised. Let's review them one more time. Problem, response to problem, and resolution. Okay, now I want you to make the arm positions if you can. I'm going to hold up a card with the story element icon, and you will make the correct arm position. Are you ready? Let's try it. Problem, response to problem, resolution. Did you try it? I bet you did. All right, now I'm going to reread the text, and if you are able, you will use your bodies to identify evidence of the problem, the response to the problem, and the resolution. Remember, the problem in the story is a challenge that the main character faces. You are now going to collect evidence to help you identify the main problem the owl faces in the story. Look at the icon in the top corner, and remember, you can make those arm motions when you hear evidence of a problem as I'm reading. Listen carefully. Owl opened the door very wide. "Come in, Winter," said Owl. "Come in and warm yourself for a while." Winter came into the house. It came in very fast. A cold wind pushed Owl against the wall. Winter ran around the room. It blew out the fire in the fireplace. Did you make a signal when Winter pushed Owl against the wall and when he blew out the fire? I'm sure you did, because this evidence shows us that Owl has a problem. Now, how would you describe Owl's problem? Think. How would you describe Owl's problem? Now share with a learning partner or share aloud. That's right. The problem is that Winter is blowing snow all around Owl's house and causing trouble. Okay, friends, now you need to record what you discovered on your story map so you can use it to retell the story. Remember, you can use words or pictures or both to add the main problem to your story map. Pause the video now to write or draw to show the main problem Owl faces.